Eh,
Hello, welcome. This is Access Astrology. Three astrologers who get together and have a look at the sky, do some stargazing, planet gazing, and see what we see reflected on the earth and the people who inhabit it and all the other creatures as well. We're all in it together.
Hmm.
And my name is Mark Waltz. I'm in New York City, and I'm joined by,
Heather Rowan Robbins from Montana. And
Ann Ortley, back in New York City after my adventure in the Mediterranean Sea.
we want to
yes.
hear all about that.
Yeah,
Yes.
good time, very good time.
First thing, how was the sky from the ship?
It was beautiful. We had a balcony, with chairs on it, and little
Wow.
things you could sit on. So especially at night when we would travel between cities, it was gorgeous. And it wasn't very cloudy, so you could really see the sky. And of course, when you're in the middle of the ocean, there's no ambient light but the sky, so it was very beautiful. It was really pretty, and the trip was very nice. It was with Silver Sea. We were on the Silver Ray, and we went to France and Italy and Spain, and Monaco. We started at Monaco in Monte Carlo. So 4 countries. Although Monaco is a little guy, it's a little tiny country.
4 countries and some delicious sounding food from the
Oh my God.
descriptions you were sending back.
It was apparently this cruise has been rated really well by Food and Wine, and I don't really drink, so that was lost on me. But they had like the $400 and $500 bottles of wine, but they also had, like, the people I was traveling with really knew their wine, so they would be like, "Oh my God, this is such a great wine," and they would pour it for the table, like, it was just the
Wow.
regular wine you would get. But then they had like the $800 glass of bourbons and stuff like that. Not again, it's not stuff I really know, but I know people that would love that. But the food itself was really magnificent and amazing meals. And then we did tours in the different cities we landed in. And for the most part, I'm still kind of recovering from my broken leg, so I did pretty good. I was definitely, there were some days when I was like, okay, my leg needs to rest, but. And those days I laid on a bed they have these bed couches that they have by the pool and on the deck. And I laid on one of those with a little music playing in the speaker near me, just playing away, and read my book and fell asleep, and the gentle rain woke me up.
Wonderful.
It was,
That's how to spend Venus and Leo, right?
it is.
That's how to spend Venus. In America, we did it with, you know, political histrionics
Yeah,
and performative anger and, great melodrama that makes no sense.
right.
So I think being sybaritic on a boat and enjoying the richness of the world sounds like a much more productive way to do it. I've heard of some amazing performance theater going on, and one family friend who has a daughter, a Down syndrome daughter, who has been involved in a big a play and practiced for 6 months, and it came off beautifully, and everybody was so happy. And it was, it wasn't a play for special needs kids; it was a regular play, and she was so excited. Very healing. There's sometimes when we work with that positive side of a planet, we can skip some of the
Yeah, yeah.
melodrama.
Well, and also it was my solar return, right? Because my
Yeah.
birthday was the 11th. So I was
Awesome.
it was a moon in Taurus for the whole year, and I'm like, I think I'm going to buy a lottery ticket every week, because if this is what my year is going to be like, I'm on to it. But it also
I'm
was,
on to it.
we also had the sun and Mercury combust the South
Yes,
Node, so we had the eclipse fire with the assassination, and Robert um, Redford just died today.
I know.
And I
The
loved his movies, except that one, The Indecent Proposal. I didn't like that one, but most of the everybody else I liked. So
right.
yeah.
So, and that solar eclipse. Okay, I wanted to talk about that solar eclipse in the American chart, and we've got 3 charts to go through tonight.
Yeah.
So let's see how we can do. This is the solar eclipse coming up this Sunday at 29 Virgo, and it will be directly opposed that Saturn, the midpoint between Saturn and Neptune is in a direct opposition, really by creating a kite out of that grand trine,
Hmm.
because um, they will be 1 degree off. It'll be a grand trine out of sign, 1 degree off 1 degree of Libra, and they both go into Libra and perfect that grand trine, which can give us a chance to change, but it's still going to be pretty strong.
Yeah.
Now, that grand trine, Uranus, Pluto, and the eclipse, one of the things that I wanted to point out, because I've been just like looking at what's going on with our chart to that. This is that we've been talking about that little grand trine with the Uranus, Pluto, forming a sextile to Neptune. 2 years before the Civil War, I mean, to the American Revolution, when things really began to brood, there was a full grand trine with Uranus, Pluto, and a Jupiter and a Neptune Saturn conjunction. And the same planets were kicking into gear right before the uh, revolution, when we were screaming no, no
No
kings.
kings. Yeah.
Yeah. And I thought it was really powerful to see that grand trine coming in, that we see coming in the little version of it now. But when planets set it off, we're seeing it act like a ticking time bomb. Now, also
It's also
totally different,
nodal. It's also a nodal reversal from that.
right?
Yeah, they're nodal reversals. Yeah.
And we are coming into a Uranus return for the American chart.
Yeah.
And and Uranus were in a Uranus return during the American Civil War, or as the American Civil War began.
And the
And
revolution.
and we have Uranus on the 7th house cusp. It changes how we deal with each other, our partnership with the American people, and our partnership as a country with all these other countries, like having South Korea pull out billions of dollars of investment, which is going to have some interesting ramifications. So I just thought those were an interesting pattern coming up. And what do you want to say about that powerful solar eclipse that's coming? And both of you work with eclipses often.
Yeah. Well, of course, I'm making everybody think back to 2006 and 1987 and 1968. What were you doing in the fall in that time? Because that's when there was these pulses again. So for me,
Mhm.
2006 was I started writing a column on the internet and put up a website. And then 87, I started my computer business. And then 68, I switched schools. It wasn't cool to be smart in public school as a girl. So I went to an all-girls Catholic high school, and it was really revolutionary. So each of those times for me was revolutionary. But important to note, this eclipse is going to be, Charlie Kirk has his Venus at 29 Virgo, and this is the day of his funeral. But also Robert Redford had stuff there at that degree, so watching, if you have stuff at those last degrees, this starts a whole new chapter for you. So Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid are
And it doesn't mean you have to die and start a new one, but it does mean you start a new one.
but it does bring a new one, because the initial energy, that last degree new moon, because at the beginning of the month we had a new moon at 1 degree, right? So we're alpha and omega wing on that Virgo axis. So it's the same, think about what happened on the new moon 4 weeks ago. And now we have the pulse of it, the ending pulse. So it's a very anaretic degrees are super, super strong. And with Saturn opposite the sun moon on, in Pisces on the Neptune, it's for all of us to look and say, what stuff do I still have to go back and clean up, because Saturn's in Pisces till February, but also I have to clean it up for my new dream to come in.
Right.
And what that vision looks like. It's a very, very powerful eclipse chart.
I agree.
Mars is at the last degree also. And now Venus has shifted into Virgo, where she's been in Leo. So in Virgo, she's not as happy, but she is in mutual reception with Mercury. So she can be happy if we work on it. If we're working in lower form, the Mercury and the Venus can switch and be working in higher form rather than lower. So it can be Sun, Moon, Venus in Libra, and Mercury and Virgo really helping you articulate what you're doing. And of course, the Venus is squared by the Uranus, and she's also quincunx to Saturn. So there's an adjusting energy. Venus forms a finger of God in this chart with Neptune and Pluto. And so that's also a potent little energy of saying, what is your work to be? You've been having a good time. In my case, been having a good time on a cruise. Now I got to check up on a week's worth of emails. But what's your vision? What's your vision, and how do you want to plan it and go with it? So I think it's a hugely powerful, and especially that grand trine in water and earth, or in air and earth. So I have this idea. Let's make it inform. Let's make it inform. And then the kite is this really your idea? And it's like, yeah, that's my idea. I'm ready for it. So it's a really potent new moon. And I would encourage people to really think consciously about what they're being called to do, because the Mars and the Venus are in sextile to each other. It's out of sign, but they also form a quincunx to Saturn in Pisces. So it's just a really tight little bouncy chart,
I agree.
quickly.
And I worry about the time a few days later when both the moon and Mars head into Scorpio.
Yeah.
There's, we're coming out of this performative anger, but we might get into some real problems with that.
Yeah.
The new moon in Virgo to me is, opposed Saturn. All across our board, we're being asked to look at what we want, what is waste and what is nutrient. Virgo rules the guts. So it's what can we let go of or what can we absorb? And to not focus on the crap that we're supposed to be letting go of. Call it crap, identify it, release it, and focus on what nourishes all of us, our country, our lives, our relationships. Because it's going to the vision will keep going on attack rather than nurturance, unless we can find a new way to direct that. So, Mark, what do you say?
I'm looking at that grand trine again, and it has the spine formed by Saturn and Neptune opposing the sun and the moon. And it's really interesting because if you think about a kite has to have that spine to give it structure and allow it to fly. It can't just have the cloth flapping around, And so we get to see how Saturn and Neptune work together in that oppositional energy to make that spine for the kite. And it's not easy for Saturn and Neptune to work together. Saturn is trying to structure things, make things concrete. Neptune is all about flapping around and, having fun. And somehow or other, the two of them have to work out a way to hold on their section of that trine kite. So it's an opportunity for us to learn how Neptune and Saturn can work together. And we can see that in the politics around us too. There's a lesson if we pick it up and work with it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I like the flapping. I kind of think of it as a flag flapping, when you see
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to put up, we have a couple of charts to try to work through. And here is Jill's chart, who sent her message in earlier this year, and we somehow missed it. So she says she's just retired from a TV job that had gone toxic and affected her health. She intends to take some time to heal and then begin a next phase. She expects that she's not done working. And I would say, yes, this chart is not done working, but that it looks like she needs about a year and a half off, and we'll go to her trine chart now. But I see that Capricorn, she has got Mercury at 4, Capricorn, Sun in Capricorn, South Node in Capricorn. It's really time for her to let go of that identity of work and nurture herself for a while before the next step. What I see with her tri-wheel, if I can make it larger here, her moon is just past Uranus. That's about exactly when she quit her job, and that it was time for her to change her home. But I see in a year and a half, her progressed sun goes into Aries, and that lineup of planets that's hitting her Mercury will be off in about a year and a half to 2 years, that she needs, and then her next chapter starts, that she needs to really use all the muscles, the range of motion exercises, use all the muscles that she didn't use while she was working so hard all those years. And that's what I'm seeing. And what are you seeing here?
Yeah, I would agree, and also because of the Uranus Pluto on the career sector up in the 10th, our work that we do for our livelihood and pays us is the 6th house. So that's her Venus, ruled by Venus, and it's in,
Mhm,
good solid little Venus there, in Pisces, that really performs. But her career sector, her calling, her purpose is the Uranus Pluto conjunction, and they're going to have 5 trines this next patch, Jill, because you were
Yep.
born in the 60s when Uranus and Pluto were gathered in Virgo, and opposite Saturn in Pisces. So you were born a little bit before all the crazy uh, civil rights movement and women's movement and gay movement. You're in the forming energy of that because of your Saturn in Aquarius. But now we're going to have Uranus and Pluto in a trine in air, and Pluto is in your 3rd house of communication, and Uranus is over in your 7th house of other people. So you're going to take all the skills that you've worked in your profession, and you're going to really figure out how to communicate with them. And as you see Pluto coming to your Mars, he got to
That's the other piece.
349.
Yeah.
He got to 349 in station and went backwards again right around the time you left. As he goes over that Mars, we're going to find your voice, because Mars rules your Mercury, Mars rules your 5th house of creativity, and Mars rules your 11th house of groups, and what your next job is going to be. And I agree with Heather. Very hard for a Capricorn South Node baby to never work again. It's more of a, like, I'm going to take a pause. I'm going to just enjoy. And then I'm going to watch my Mars get reinvigorated with Pluto coming to the Mars, which they're buddies. Pluto and Mars
Yeah.
are buddies. And that's in your house of your mind. So I would really expect
All kinds of
all
exploration.
sorts of really good, fun stuff coming. And again, I agree with Heather, because the sun's at the anaretic degree of Pisces right now. It's finishing up a huge karmic cycle of a lifetime. And then Saturn's on it, starting a new 29-year cycle. So, and your progressive moon's in Gemini. So you're going to be talking a lot. You're going to be communicating. You're going to be out there in the world. It's just what that new format looks like. Mark, what do you see?
Yeah, you've got nothing to prove. You've proved it all. And now it's a matter of taking care of the little details and putting your effort in a smaller way instead of a bigger way. And a good way to do that is to look around you and see who could use some help. It's not in your job description, but you have experience in life that you'll bring in from out of the job description and just do it.
Yeah, that launch is going to really, it won't be until after Christmas, New Year's 26, 27 that Pluto gets off your Mars and you've got more room to create the new life. You'll feel like creating it then. Right now, it's, exploring, expanding, learning, studying, introspecting, uh, and coming to know the other sides of yourself, and then moving, kicking back into gear.
And for
So,
you, my comment earlier where I said what was going on in 206 and in 87 and the 68, you were a little kid in 68, but it would have been your parents. Those years represented real shifts in your foundation and your direction, and you're having that again this now. So they, with the node up there in the 10th house, it's saying, okay, well, the sector in the career I've worked in, now I'm shifting out of, but I'm going towards what my next vision of life is. So, and of course, as a Capricorn sun, we always look at that Aquarian, and we're going to have Pluto in Aquarius for the next 20 years going through your 3rd house. So your mind and your ideas and your ability to communicate is really going to step forward. And as Pluto and Mars go through their transformation, Mars rules you because you're a Scorpio rising, but it also rules your belief systems, your theoretical vision of things, your Athena, as well as your partnership. So all those areas are kind of percolating in this transformative cauldron. So great book for transitions like this called Hope for the Flowers by Melody Beatty. And it's the story of Stripe and Yellow, who are 2 caterpillars who are going through that transformation into being butterflies. And there is also one I like as a YouTube, the 4 stages of retirement. And it talks about what the steps are of being retired either because you wanted to or because you
You have
left because of the work. But it kind of gives you a vision of how to handle this, transitional time, which for a Capricorn not to have the ground beneath them can be a little hard. So be kind to yourself, Jill. So
So thank you. And this is from Susan in Schenectady. And she was saying that see what insights you can glean for life purpose and any gifts and challenge. What do rising sign, moon sign reveal? And with the sun sign, why are they more influential than any other planet placements? Why? She says, also, I love the show.
oh, good. Thank you.
Good.
Glad you love it. That's good news. We like that.
And we've got about 3 comments from various speakers that say, welcome home and good to see you, by
Nice
the way.
to be back.
Good.
Nice to be back.
So what can we offer? What's the sun? I think of the sun, moon, and ascendant like the scaffolding that the rest of the chart is built on.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the solid skeleton, your consciousness, inner world, and how you interact with the world. Everything else is important, but it all builds on those 3 things.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, how would you put that, Anne?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. And because you're
Mhm.
born on a Venus star point, the sun, I would pay attention to your Venus. The Sun Venus Cazimi is very powerful too. So when
That's what a Venus star point is. It's the Sun Venus
Sun
conjunction.
Venus joined, and so that's a superpower because that kind of drives you forward. That kind of amplifies the sun. But I like to think of the moon as your past life, what you did in the previous life. So you were Gemini. So in this life, you're coming in, and it's a quincunx between the moon and the sun. So the Gemini energy, the ideas and all that go into that Scorpio sun because that's what you're becoming in this lifetime. More intense, more passionate, more communicative. And that direct communication energy that your sun in Scorpio is going to distribute to the world via your writing, your talking, your communication of the moon. Your moon skills are natural, the sun skills are developed. So the chart's going to go deeper. It's going to make these pithy remarks that people go, wow, that was transformative. And then the meeting of you is a Leo rising. How do you greet the world? You greet the world like a lion. You go, well, hello, hello. And they get to know you and they go, wow, you're really deep. And you're like, I am. I look friendly when I come in, but I'm really deep and I don't miss a trick with all that stuff in Scorpio. But because the moon wants to adjust and be deeper, the Leo gives it the help to do that, the Leo rising. And more importantly, the Mars and Leo squaring your Mercury and your Venus and your Neptune. You're very friendly. You're a little bit like the white rabbit in the Alice in Wonderland stories where, oh, well, follow me. I'll take you on an adventure. And then people go, I had no idea that this existed. And you're like, I know. Come on with me. It's good. It's fun. Have a good time. So that's how we look at them. The moon is your past life, your skills and talents, things that are natural to you, communicating, talking, and then where you're evolving, the intensity of the Scorpio in the 4th house. Major revolution around your family dynamics, your family issues, how to heal the family karma. But then also Leo, you're charming, delightful, and pleasant, and everybody loves you. So
And it's hard to get all of your horses going in the same directions because you have that classic Leo Scorpio, see me, don't see me.
Mhm.
That your public self is very public and your private life is very private,
Yeah.
and that you want to engage both. And if you don't feel like you can timeshare between the two, the other side will be uncomfortable. So you really need your time alone, your time out there, and being able to, you can juggle it because that Gemini moon at the top of the chart gets bored with one thing. So it wants to, as long as you don't overextend, it loves having different placements and different processes in your life. We got a question on how many degrees is the Venus Sun Cazimi? How far away would you give that, Anne?
Well, I like the really tight one, but
Yeah.
Ariel
3 degrees.
gives it like 5.
Okay. I
Yeah.
usually get about 3 or 4.
She really
Okay.
pays attention to the ones that happen like the 2 weeks, 3 weeks right after your birthday. So in
Mhm.
her case, the Cazimi was like right before she was born. Well, she was in uterus, yeah. So, Mark, what do you think?
Yeah. For the Cazimi, I usually give it 3 degrees. It works. I'm seeing an element of surprise in your chart. The Jupiter opposite Uranus. That's when it's the rabbit out of the hat that Anne mentioned. It's there. here too. So anytime you want, you can sort of take over the room with a hat trick like that.
And that's beautiful. And this is just kind of looking at the tri-wheel for Susan, and her progress moon is in Libra, so it feels like she is doing the part of her that needs to make sure that she connects, that she socializes, that she reaches out and
And
develops community is
it's
important.
trying to Saturn too,
Yep, yep, yep.
the progress moon.
So I think that's quite beautiful. And um, and so I think those are the few degrees that we've got to work. Uh, then tonight, I think we've got one more chart to do, but it's a little late. Um, we can go over time a few minutes if that's
Yeah.
okay with everybody?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is LK, and the LK's comment was, um, let's see, they are moving to Colorado before the end of the year. She and her partner, they're born in Spain, but they're living in Texas. Do we see anything related to that? And I thought I looked at their return, their astrocartography. It was interesting. But let's first look at this chart and what do we see about movement and moving coming up. That I see with the Leo moon at the top of the chart trine Mars and born with the moon in the ninth house. Often people that are born with the moon in the ninth house end up living in a faraway country. And here she is living in America, born in Spain, with that trine and feeling always more part of an international community than of a local community. So if she has that more in Colorado, that will be really important to the chart.
Mhm.
Um, and so I'm just going to pull up that tri-wheel. And what do you see that you would like to give her advice in this process? It looks to me like the move is going to be good for her.
Yeah, I would agree. The move looks great. Your progressed sun's in Cancer, and she's having Jupiter on it this year. And you're also having Uranus on your sun, which is changing your local neighborhood and changing where you're going to bring your light to shine. And again, amplifying the sun ruling the ninth house. So it's definitely time for a move. Your progressed moon is interesting because it's in Virgo. So I'm not sure that the economic stuff that you anticipate in Colorado will shift that much, but with Saturn on your north node, it's a compelling move. It's not like it's not like you're just dilly-dallying and saying, okay, we're moving. Saturn's trying your Neptune, there's like a call. It's almost like the salmon get the call to swim upstream. You
Mm-hmm.
have Saturn on your node, Saturn trining your progressed sun, and the Neptune on the angles. So there's like, your little salmon getting called to go live in Colorado. And when you get there, you may find, okay, we may shift again because Uranus doesn't get to your sun until next April 23rd when he goes into Gemini for good. But you're getting the call. So follow the call. And then
Right.
once you get there, you can see your Jupiter and Uranus are in the top have now both gone on to the world point in Libra, and the middle guys. So then Uranus is going to trine them and Pluto's going to trine them. So the water trine is making you flow and move, and the air trine is going to be like, well, this is good, but we have some other stuff we want to talk to you about. So don't buy a house when you get there. Rent to see if that's where you're supposed to stay, or if there's going to be something that pops you along again, because you also have Venus on your progressed Venus coming to your Vesta in which is definitely like housing living situations. So but move with I'm not necessarily nesting, I'm just resting.
Right. And that it feels like there's a good chance that your partner is what's catalyzing the move, what their work or their calling. But I think you're going to find a whole new community here. You might find it best by being helpful, finding a way to be useful and helpful to the people around you, as a way of engaging that Virgo moon for the next few years and helping you find community, because it feels like you've been not been engaged in community where you were the way you have the potential to be, the way
Mhm.
you're happier if you are. So good luck on that. Mark,
Yeah,
any last comments?
I think that working with community is going to really help a lot with your sense of who you are with that moon in Leo. Share that with everybody around you. You've tended to hold it back, but don't hold it back anymore.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful, and I think we are. Mark, maybe you could close us out with a brief meditation on how to use the Virgo new moon eclipse coming up this Sunday, and
Good.
for all of us to use that wisely and keep our minds focused on peace in this coming uh, fall equinox, be on balance and justice and fairness, not repression peace, but balance and justice and fairness, because we really need to pull that vision in for our country for the next couple of years.
Take a moment and think about that solar eclipse, the lunar eclipse coming. No, the solar eclipse. Think about what it takes to make an eclipse. It takes the sun and the moon and the earth, and they all line up. So we want to line up who we are in our identity here on earth, in the group that we're with, and how our group depends on other groups pulling in the same energy. Okay.
Powerful. So thank you all. We'll see you next Tuesday. Have a good and safe eclipse. This is Heather Owen Robbins saying goodbye from Ronan, Montana. And Ann?
Anne, who's frozen in the bottom there. I don't know what's going on. We're going to work on that, though. Going to get my IT guy in and figure out why I'm freezing. I'm saying goodbye from New York City. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
And this is Mark Waltz from New York City as well. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you at the next one.
After the eclipse.